Beneath the Earth's surface lies another, almost forgotten world. These are not just voids, but grand labyrinths, chambers, and entire cities carved into monolithic rock or built in terrifying depths thousands of years ago. For centuries, these underground complexes have served as shelters, majestic temples, silent necropolises, and mysterious ritual spaces. Their true purpose remains shrouded in darkness, and their colossal scale continues to astonish the imagination, compelling researchers to descend again and again into the depths to uncover the secrets Earth has guarded for millennia.
Derinkuyu underground city is indeed one of the most astonishing engineering achievements of antiquity. This massive complex descends over 60 meters beneath the Earth's surface, forming a true multi-level metropolis. It consists of at least 8 full levels, connected by a network of narrow corridors, vertical shafts, and hidden passages. Even with modern technology, only a small portion of this grand labyrinth has been explored, and debates about its true size and boundaries continue among scientists to this day.
The discovery of Derinkuyu reads like the plot of an adventure movie. The city was found completely by accident in the mid-20th century when an ordinary resident of Cappadocia, Turkey, decided to renovate his basement. After demolishing one of the walls, he uncovered a hidden passage leading into the unknown. This discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. Behind an ordinary wall lay an intricate system of tunnels and chambers of incredible scale. Excavations confirmed the sensation, a fully functional underground settlement capable of sustaining tens of thousands of people for years.
The architecture of Derinkuyu is astounding in its deliberate design and logic. It was not a chaotic jumble of caves. Each level had a strict functional purpose. It contained cozy living quarters, communal kitchens with ingenious ventilation channels, vast granaries, and even specially equipped stables for livestock. Archaeologists have uncovered entire wine presses and olive oil presses, as well as spacious halls that likely served as schools or meeting places. The presence of large chambers with altars clearly indicates that the spiritual life of the community continued uninterrupted, even deep underground. The architecture of Derinkuyu is astonishing in its thoughtfulness and logic. It was not a chaotic jumble of caves. Each level had a strict functional purpose. Here, cozy living quarters, communal kitchens with ingenious ventilation systems, vast grain storage rooms, and even specially equipped livestock stalls were located. Archaeologists discovered entire wineries and oil presses, as well as spacious halls that likely served as schools or gathering places. The presence of large rooms with altars directly indicates that the community's spiritual life continued even deep underground. Derinkuyu's defensive system was designed with the harshest threats of its time in mind. The narrow, winding corridors were intentionally constructed to slow down invaders and neutralize their numerical advantage. At key points, the passages were blocked by massive stone doors shaped like discs. These enormous wheels weighed hundreds of kilograms and rolled along special grooves, completely sealing off the path. Remarkably, these doors could only be opened or closed from the inside, turning the city into an impregnable underground fortress. The purpose of the underground city still sparks heated debates among historians. According to the main theory, Derinkuyu served as a temporary refuge during times of war and invasion. For centuries, Cappadocia was located at the crossroads of major trade and military routes, and the local population needed a reliable place to disappear at the first sign of danger. The underground metropolis allowed thousands of people to hide for months, fully sustaining themselves with everything they needed without leaving the region,
and remaining invisible to enemy armies.
However, there are bolder hypotheses that date the beginning of construction to deep antiquity, long before the emergence of the civilizations known to us. Some researchers suggest that the first levels may have been carved out as early as the Bronze Age, or even earlier. Later, the complex was repeatedly expanded and rebuilt, absorbing features of successive cultures. There are clear traces of Christian presence here. Crosses are carved into rocks, chapels are arranged, and spacious rooms resemble underground churches where early Christians sought refuge from religious persecution. A particular mystery is the city's long-term autonomy. Water was supplied by the deepest wells, some of which were deliberately not connected to the surface, preventing the possibility of water poisoning by a besieging enemy. Vast storage rooms were designed to hold food supplies capable of feeding an entire city for a year. All of this suggests that Derinkuyu was not just a temporary shelter, but a meticulously planned community capable of existing in complete isolation from the outside world. Life in a confined underground space demanded not only physical endurance from people, but also a unique social organization. Some researchers highlight the psychological aspect. Living in near total darkness, broken only by the light of oil lamps, forced the community to develop resilient traditions and strict order. Spaces for gatherings and rituals played a crucial role in maintaining morale and collective identity. The underground city was not a chaotic gathering of refugees, but a perfectly tuned mechanism where every resident knew their place and role. Derinkuyu is also tied to more mystical interpretations. The incredible depth, complexity, and antiquity of the complex have given rise to legends of mysterious underground peoples and knowledge hidden in the lowest, still unexplored levels. Some believe that such cities were used not only for protection, but also for special rituals connected to the cult of the earth. Descending deep into the planet's interior was seen as a return to the womb of Mother Nature, and the silence of the caves became an ideal place for communicating with divine forces hidden from the eyes of ordinary people. Interestingly, Derinkuyu is not an isolated site. It is connected to other underground cities of Cappadocia by a network of tunnels, some stretching for many kilometers. This creates the image of an entire underground country that existed parallel to the surface world. Today, only part of Derinkuyu is open to visitors. Most of the levels are closed for safety reasons, but even the accessible areas give an idea of the colossal labor. Every niche, every passage was manually carved into volcanic tuff with remarkable precision. The multi-level Kaymakli complex is rightfully considered one of the largest and most intricate underground settlements in the region. Unlike Derinkuyu, which extended primarily downward, this city expanded mostly outward, forming a vast network of corridors, chambers, and halls. Its structure resembles a living organism that continuously grew and transformed over centuries. Research indicates that Kaymakli was not designed all at once. It developed gradually, adapting to population growth and new challenges of the time, which deprived it of strict symmetry, but endowed it with unique functionality. The organization of life in Kaymakli demonstrates a deep understanding of the laws of nature. The lowest levels of the city housed livestock stalls. This arrangement had an important practical purpose. The heat rising from the animals naturally warmed the residential areas during cold periods. Additionally, the animals were kept away from the main public spaces, freeing up valuable space on the upper levels. This zoning principle suggests that the ancient builders possessed exceptional knowledge of the microclimate of enclosed spaces. The living chambers of Kaymakli are relatively small, but their sheer number is staggering. The rooms are connected by passages so narrow that people often had to stoop or move sideways. This layout served not only to save space, but was also part of the defensive strategy. In the event of a sudden invasion, the underground city instantly became a deadly trap for unwelcome intruders who were completely unfamiliar with its winding and labyrinthine structure, where every turn could hide a dead end or an ambush. The central part of Kaymakli's structure was occupied by extensive utility zones. Here, archaeologists discovered specialized rooms for storing vast grain reserves, presses for processing grapes and producing oil, as well as kitchens with characteristic soot-blackened ceilings. Smoke from the hearths was vented through a complex system of ventilation shafts designed not only to provide airflow, but also to conceal human presence. The smoke dispersed so effectively on the surface that it was nearly impossible to detect from the outside. The life support system in Kaymakli deserves special attention from researchers. Dozens of vertical shafts ran through all levels of the city, supplying fresh air and simultaneously serving as wells. These engineering solutions maintained a stable temperature and humidity inside, which was vital not only for the comfortable living of thousands of people, but also for the long-term storage of food. The city functioned like a perfectly tuned autonomous machine, where every element, from ventilation to water supply, was part of a unified survival plan. The spiritual life of Kaymakli's inhabitants was as rich as their economic activities. The city contains halls that served as chapels, featuring characteristic niches for icons and altar projections. This indicates that life underground was not limited to mere survival. People sought to preserve their faith and ritual practices, even in conditions of total isolation. Defensive elements, such as massive stone disc doors, allowed entire sections of the city to be isolated, creating a multi-tiered defense system where each level became a new impregnable barrier against the enemy. The question of Kaymakli's population size remains open, but researchers' estimates are astonishing. The city could simultaneously accommodate several thousand people. Such a concentration of people in a confined space required iron discipline, strict resource allocation, and flawless organization of daily life. Kaymakli functioned as a fully autonomous ecosystem where each level and chamber had a clear purpose. It was not just a temporary shelter, but a true alternative world, hidden from the eyes of those accustomed to living under the sun. Of particular interest is the possible connection between Kaymakli and other underground sites in Cappadocia. There is evidence of multi-kilometer tunnels linking it to neighboring cities, including Derinkuyu. These secret passages may have been used for emergency evacuations or clandestine resource exchanges, forming a vast underground network invisible to invaders. Today, only part of Kaymakli is open to visitors, but even this small section allows one to sense the scale of the collective intellect that managed to transform the Earth's depths into a space for life and protection. From the arid plateaus of Anatolia, we move to Europe, where beneath modern Rome lies one of the most extensive underground complexes of antiquity, the Roman Catacombs. This is a sprawling network of tunnels, galleries, and chambers stretching for hundreds of kilometers. The first catacombs began to emerge as early as the 2nd century AD, primarily as burial complexes. Faced with a shortage of land outside the city walls and the high cost of plots, underground necropolises carved into soft tuff became a practical and enduring solution for growing communities. The foundation of the catacombs consisted of endless narrow galleries. Along their walls were loculi, rectangular niches used for burials. These were sealed with stone slabs or bricks, often inscribed with names, brief epitaphs, or early Christian symbols. These markings became an invaluable archive for historians, allowing them to reconstruct the social composition and worldview of ancient communities. Over time, the catacombs ceased to be merely cemeteries. During periods of persecution, they transformed into secret spaces for worship, where, under the cover of darkness, an alternative spiritual life took shape, hidden from the eyes of the imperial authorities. The artistic heritage of the Roman catacombs deserves special attention. The walls and vaults of many chambers are adorned with frescoes, executed in a restrained yet incredibly expressive manner. These images became the first examples of Christian art. One can see the Good Shepherd, biblical scenes, and allegorical figures, all brimming with hope for eternal life. The engineering organization of these underground labyrinths is striking in its logic. Despite their seemingly chaotic appearance, the galleries were arranged on multiple levels, connected by a complex system of shafts and staircases. This design allowed the necropolis to be expanded without disturbing the integrity of the older sections. Of particular significance in the structure of the catacombs were the cubicula, individual chambers intended for family burials or revered members of the community. These rooms were often more elaborately decorated than the ordinary galleries and served as places of memory where regular commemorative rituals were held. Illumination here was provided by oil lamps, traces of which, niches and soot on the ceilings, are still visible on the walls today. This paints a picture of a world where light was a rare and incredibly precious resource, and the silence and darkness of the underground labyrinths fostered profound concentration and prayer. Over time, as Christianity gained official recognition, the significance of the catacombs began to change rapidly. Burials were relocated to the surface, closer to the new majestic basilicas, and the underground necropolises gradually lost their practical purpose. However, the memory of them endured. The catacombs continued to be perceived as sacred places, inextricably linked to the deeds of the martyrs. By the Middle Ages, many were forgotten or filled in, transforming into legendary labyrinths, their existence recalled only by rare pilgrims and fragmented records in church books. The rediscovery of the catacombs began only in the Renaissance era. Archaeologists and explorers gradually unveiled the underground Rome, mapping kilometers of abandoned galleries. These endeavors made it possible not only to study ancient burial practices, but also to gain a deeper understanding of the transformation of the classical world. The catacombs exerted a colossal influence on the cultural imagination. They became a source of endless legends about secret passages and hidden treasures. The image of this hidden city permeated literature and painting, symbolizing the profound layers of history inaccessible to a superficial glance. Today, the catacombs of ancient Rome are recognized as paramount archaeological sites. Only a small portion of them is open to tourists due to the fragility of the wall paintings and the structures themselves. Tours through these quiet galleries allow one to sense the atmosphere of solemn concentration that prevailed here centuries ago. This is not merely a cemetery, but a living reflection of a transitional period in human history, when both faith and the attitude toward death were undergoing profound change. The Roman underground reminds us that civilization exists not only in the monuments of public squares, but also in hidden spaces, where fear and hope are inextricably intertwined.
Cappadocia region conceals beneath its surface not one or two, but an entire system of interconnected underground cities. This is a unique cultural landscape where subterranean architecture serves as an organic extension of life on the surface. Cappadocia represents one of the rarest examples of how subsurface habitation became a widespread and systematic phenomenon. Geological conditions played a key role here. Soft yet durable volcanic rock allowed ancient builders to create multi-level chambers and halls without the risk of collapse, effectively transforming mountains into habitable spaces. The development of these cities spanned millennia. What began as small storage areas or temporary shelters gradually expanded and interconnected over time. A defining characteristic of the Cappadocian cities is their vertical and horizontal flexibility. Galleries combine with staircases and wells, creating a multi-layered structure of living and functional zones. This layout provided incredible defensive maneuverability. Individual levels could be completely sealed off from one another, transforming the city into a complex system of autonomous compartments, each capable of sustaining its own struggle for survival or daily life independently. The functional zoning of these cities is astonishing in its meticulous planning. They were equipped not only with living quarters, but also with full-fledged schools, assembly halls, and even industrial zones. Particular attention was paid to ventilation and water supply systems. Shafts penetrating through all levels served a dual purpose, not only providing a steady flow of oxygen, but also functioning as wells. The engineering precision of such solutions points to a profound understanding of the subterranean environment. This was not merely an attempt to hide from an enemy, but a triumph of human intellect over harsh reality, transforming the depths of the earth into a secure and livable home. The defensive features of Cappadocia's underground cities are considered among the most impressive in the history of fortification. Narrow passages with sharp turns and sudden changes in height created natural traps for invaders who were unable to leverage their numerical superiority or use long weapons effectively. Massive stone disc doors allowed entire sections of the city to be sealed off instantly, while the network of dead ends and false passages was meticulously designed to disorient anyone unfamiliar with the exact layout. Under such conditions, even a small contingent of defenders could successfully hold off an entire army, transforming the labyrinth into an insurmountable obstacle. The religious aspect occupied a central place in the life of these subterranean communities. Archaeologists have discovered underground churches in many Cappadocian cities, complete with altars, icon niches, and even traces of frescoes. These sacred spaces testify that the spiritual life of the community never ceased, even during the most arduous periods of isolation. The underground temples fostered a sense of security among the inhabitants that was not merely physical, but metaphysical, separating their sacred world from the dangers of external reality. For many, faith became the sole light that enabled them to endure months without seeing the sun and to preserve their hope.
It is astounding, but these underground cities did not exist in isolation. Archaeologists are increasingly finding evidence of connecting tunnels that linked individual complexes into a single network spanning dozens of kilometers. These communication routes were used for exchanging resources, secretly transmitting information, or evacuating populations from one city to another. Such organization effectively transformed Cappadocia into a veritable subterranean empire. Although only a fraction of these spaces are accessible to tourists today, the scale of human ingenuity and labor invested continues to inspire awe and admiration in all who venture beneath the earth.
The Hal Saflieni Hypogeum is considered one of the most mysterious and unique archaeological sites in the world. It is not merely an ancient structure, but the only known multi-level prehistoric underground temple, entirely hewn out of solid rock. Its age exceeds 5,000 years, making the Hypogeum older than the Egyptian pyramids and most European megalithic complexes. It was discovered by chance in the early 20th century during construction work, when laborers stumbled upon a cavity beneath the ground. This opening revealed an incredible system of halls and chambers crafted by Neolithic artisans.
The architecture of the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum is striking in its symbolism. The stone walls and ceilings here imitate the forms of the above-ground megalithic temples of that era. You can see false doors, carved columns, and meticulously crafted niches that served no structural purpose. They were created solely for ritualistic intent. The complex consists of 3 levels, descending to a depth of over 10 meters. While the upper level resembles natural caves, the middle and lower levels demonstrate the incredible skill of the stone cutters, who worked using only stone and bone tools. Researchers are particularly fascinated by the so-called oracle chamber. This small room possesses phenomenal, mathematically precise acoustics. A low male voice, spoken from a specific point, resonates and reverberates throughout the entire complex, creating palpable vibrations within the stone itself. This effect is not accidental. It is believed that sound was used in rituals to induce an altered state of consciousness among participants. The resonance amplified the emotional impact of the ceremonies, creating in those present a sensation of physical contact with otherworldly forces. The Hypogeum served not only as a temple, but also as a vast necropolis. The remains of over 7,000 individuals were discovered within its chambers. The burials had a collective character. Bones were arranged in layers, interspersed with ritual objects and offerings. Among the archaeological finds, the figurine of the sleeping lady stands out, an elegant depiction of a woman lying on her side. This image, which has become a symbol of the Hypogeum, is interpreted in various ways, as a personification of sleep, death, or impending rebirth. Researchers link it to the cult of the Great Mother, which dominated the Neolithic cultures of the Mediterranean, transforming the Hypogeum into a sanctuary of both life and death. The technology used to create the Hypogeum astounds modern engineers. All the chambers were hewn out of hard limestone rock by hand, using only stone and bone tools. This work demanded not only colossal physical effort, but also the most precise planning. Any mistake could have led to the collapse of the vaults or the disruption of the unique acoustics. There is a hypothesis that the very structure of the Hypogeum reflects the ancients' beliefs about the soul's journey. The descent from the upper to the lower level symbolized the transition from the world of the living to the realm of shadows. This transformed the complex into an architectural embodiment of the myth of the journey to the underworld. Over time, the Hypogeum was abandoned, and all memory of it was completely erased from history for millennia. The absence of written sources makes archaeological discoveries the sole key to understanding this place, which only intensifies its mystery. Today, access to the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum is strictly limited.
The complex's microclimate is extremely sensitive, and even the breath of visitors can damage the fragile limestone and ancient ochre paintings. It remains a silent testament to the fact that even at the dawn of civilization, humanity possessed profound knowledge of sound, space, and the sacred connection between earth and sky. Beneath the scorching sands of the Saqqara necropolis lies one of the most intricate and least explored underground complexes of ancient Egypt. While the surface is dominated by majestic pyramids, the true depth of this place is revealed only underground, in an endless system of vertical shafts, horizontal tunnels, and hidden chambers. Saqqara served as the principal necropolis of Memphis for millennia. The nobility, priests, and high-ranking officials were buried here, with entire subterranean palaces created for them, intended to be their eternal homes in the afterlife. The shaft burial method became a unique characteristic of Saqqara. Narrow vertical shafts plunged tens of meters deep, leading to burial chambers deliberately concealed from grave robbers. After interment, these shafts were sealed with massive stone plugs and filled with tons of rubble, transforming the subterranean vaults into impregnable traps. Over time, the necropolis's underground architecture grew increasingly complex. During the Old Kingdom period, shafts began to be interconnected, forming veritable subterranean quarters where the hierarchical strata of the living were mirrored in the multi-layered structure of the world of the dead. A place of particular significance within this underground system is the Serapeum, a colossal complex of galleries designed for the burial of the sacred Apis bulls. The scale of this structure is staggering. Enormous granite sarcophagi, each weighing tens of tons, are placed in niches along the long corridors. The precision of the stonework and the engineering prowess of the Serapeum seem incredible even for the Egyptians. The corridors are oriented with mathematical accuracy, and the ceilings are leveled so perfectly that the entire space is transformed into a grand temple concealed within the depths of the rock, where time seems to have stood still forever. The purpose of many of Saqqara's underground chambers remains a mystery to this day. In a number of shafts, the mummified remains of millions of animals were discovered: ibises, cats, dogs, and falcons. These mass burials point to the existence of a colossal animal cult that required complex logistics and constant access to the underground labyrinths. The engineering solutions employed here attest to an exceptionally high level of knowledge. The builders accounted for rock pressure, provided ventilation, and ensured the stability of walls at great depths. Despite an age of several millennia, many of the corridors are preserved in perfect condition, confirming the meticulous planning behind every detail. The subterranean complexes of Saqqara were inextricably linked to the Egyptians' conception of the underworld, the Duat. The descent down a vertical shaft symbolized the beginning of the soul's journey after death, its immersion into other dimensions. The horizontal tunnels could represent the perilous voyage through trials, while the hidden halls became places of eternal rest. The architecture here was profoundly symbolic. Many shafts and chambers are strictly oriented according to the cardinal directions and astronomical coordinates. This underscored the inseparable connection between the subterranean world and the cosmic order, where the pharaoh's or priest's path beneath the earth mirrored the movement of the stars across the sky. The mystical aspect of Saqqara consistently captivates researchers' attention. Since antiquity, this place has been considered a threshold between worlds, a territory of secret knowledge and hidden archives.
There are hypotheses that beneath the known shafts, even deeper levels may lie concealed, dating back to prehistoric phases of the plateau's settlement. For the Egyptians, the underworld was not a place of oblivion, but a realm of active existence after death, where architecture, religion, and engineering merged into a single system designed to secure immortality. Today, Saqqara remains a multi-layered archive where each new excavation unveils another chapter of history, delving ever deeper into the bowels of the earth.
The underground complex known as the Osirion is rightfully considered one of the most enigmatic and debated structures of ancient Egypt. Hidden underground near the magnificent temple of Seti I at Abydos, it sharply contrasts with the classical architecture of the pharaonic era. Its massive granite blocks, unsettling subterranean location, and peculiar hydraulic system continue to fuel debates about its construction date and true purpose. The Osirion remained undiscovered until archaeologists began clearing the area behind the main temple, finding beneath layers of sand and soil a structure that seemed almost intentionally concealed from the living.
The architecture of the Osirion is striking in its stark monumentality. The central hall is encircled by colossal granite pillars, each weighing tens of tons. These columns support immense lintels, assembled with astounding precision. The use of granite, transported from the distant quarries of Aswan, underscores the exceptional status of the complex. A visitor is compelled to descend through dark passages before reaching the central part, a feature with clear symbolic significance, evoking a ritualistic immersion into primordial depths where time and space lose their conventional meaning.
The central feature of the Osirion is a unique system of water-filled canals and basins. It encircles the main hall, creating the impression of an island separated from the rest of the world. The purpose of this system remains a subject of debate. Many researchers believe it represents a symbolic connection to Nun, the primordial waters of chaos from which, according to Egyptian mythology, the universe arose. The link to the cult of Osiris is evident here. Abydos was considered the burial place of this god's head, and the Osirion is interpreted as his symbolic tomb, a place of eternal renewal and triumph over death at the very heart of the earth.
Questions also arise concerning the dating of the complex. Although the Osirion is traditionally associated with the reign of Seti I, many researchers note that the masonry style and the scale of the blocks are utterly uncharacteristic of that period. Unlike the richly decorated temple on the surface, the Osirion lacks decorative elements and inscriptions. Its severe, almost ascetic form suggests a much more ancient origin. There is a hypothesis that Seti I merely discovered and reconstructed this structure, which was already ancient by his time. The granite blocks are worked with a precision that fuels debate about the use of lost technologies, as the fit between the elements is practically perfect here. The ritual function of the Osirion, in the view of many Egyptologists, was inextricably linked to the mysteries of Osiris. The complex's subterranean atmosphere was intensified by the interplay of light and shadow. In antiquity, the Osirion was likely illuminated by torches, their flames reflecting in the water surrounding the central hall. This created an illusion of movement and depth, plunging the ritual participants into a trance-like state. Here, the architecture functioned as a powerful tool for influencing consciousness. The silence, broken only by the sound of dripping water, and the massive stone induced a feeling of eternity's presence. The Osirion was a space of symbolic action, where myth came to life in stone.
Over time, the Osirion was partially flooded by groundwater, which only added to its mystery. Modern researchers continue to debate its true purpose. Was it an intricate ritual mechanism or a symbolic embodiment of the path to life's origins? The Osirion occupies a unique place among the world's underground complexes. It was not intended for habitation or mass burials. It was a temple monument to the earth itself and its primordial forces. Its silence and severe geometry continue to stir the imagination, reminding us that the deepest secrets of the past are often hidden not on the surface, but within the depths of the earth, beneath layers of sand and centuries.
The cave complex of Ellora stands as one of the most monumental and philosophically profound underground ensembles in the world. Located in the basaltic rock cliffs of western India, it encompasses dozens of temples, monasteries, and ritual halls carved directly from the stone. Ellora is unique in that within a single space, the sacred sites of three distinct religious traditions coexist harmoniously: Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. Each has found its unique expression in the subterranean architecture, transforming the rock into a living monument to religious tolerance and spiritual inquiry. The complex was created over several centuries by generations of master craftsmen who gradually delved deeper into the hard basalt. Ellora's uniqueness lies in its construction by the subtractive method. The artisans did not build walls, but instead removed excess stone until the form of the future temple emerged from the monolith. This demanded absolute precision of vision, as any mistake was fatal. The caves are arranged in a linear fashion along the rock face, forming a monumental gallery where the sequence of halls and passages orchestrates a sacred ritual of immersion, moving from the external world toward the inner sanctum. The earliest caves of Ellora are associated with the Buddhist tradition. They served as monasteries and meditation halls, where spacious chambers with massive columns and stone couches fostered an atmosphere of absolute silence and detachment. In contrast, the Hindu temples are striking for their decorative richness. Their architecture is saturated with intricate reliefs depicting gods and mythological scenes. Here, the underground space ceases to be merely a shelter. It becomes a place of divine manifestation, where every image carved from the stone is intended to elevate human consciousness above the mundane. The culmination of Ellora, and a true marvel of engineering, is the Kailasa Temple. This colossal structure was not assembled from blocks. It was entirely excavated from a single rock, top down. To create it, ancient craftsmen had to remove over 200,000 tons of basalt. While visually it resembles a freestanding temple, in essence it is a colossal monolithic complex representing the pinnacle of rock-cut architecture. No mistake could be corrected. The slightest miscalculation of the chisel could have ruined the symmetry of the entire edifice. The Kailasa Temple is a process frozen in time, demonstrating the limits of human faith and precision.
The Jain Caves, located in the northern part of Ellora, are distinguished by their particular refinement and almost mathematical austerity. Their reliefs are elegant, and the space is organized to emphasize the ideals of inner purification and asceticism. What unites all the caves of Ellora is their inseparable connection with the mountain's body. Entering these halls, a person gradually immerses themselves into the stone, embarking on a symbolic journey to their own spiritual center. Light plays a special role here. Narrow openings allow sunlight to penetrate only specific areas, creating a dynamic play of shadows that brings the stone deities on the walls to life. The underground halls of Ellora possess unique acoustic properties.
The monolithic basalt surfaces amplify the sound of mantras, creating a powerful resonance effect. This transformed rituals into a special sensory experience where sound, stone, and space worked as a unified whole. The choice of a rock-cut format was deliberate. In Indian philosophy, the mountain symbolizes the world axis, and the cave represents the space of consciousness. Carving the temples into the rock granted them longevity, shielding them from the destructive influence of time and climate. Today, Ellora is not merely a monument, it is a stone mandapa, where subterranean space became a language of faith and knowledge. The underground temple complex of Damanhur is one of the most incredible and controversial structures of the modern era. Unlike the ancient cities of Cappadocia or Egyptian necropolises, this complex was created in the 20th century. Yet, in terms of its scale, profound symbolism, and architectural complexity, it is fully comparable to the greatest monuments of the ancient world. Its existence remained a strictly guarded secret for many years, and its construction was carried out covertly, without official knowledge, under conditions of absolute secrecy, until the world one day learned of the existence of an entire underground cathedral carved inside a mountain.
The story of Damanhur began when a group of like-minded individuals decided to create an autonomous spiritual center based on ideas of harmony between humans and nature. The underground temple became the central element of this vision, not as a place of worship in the traditional sense, but as a symbol of humanity's collective memory. The construction was carried out entirely by hand, without the use of heavy machinery, to avoid attracting attention. Over many years, an intricate system of halls, corridors, and chambers took shape underground, interconnected into a single whole, where every turn and every detail carried its own esoteric significance. The underground halls of Damanhur are arranged on several levels and extend dozens of meters deep into the mountain. Their structure resembles not a labyrinth, but a carefully conceived initiatory path. One of the most famous spaces in the complex is the Hall of Mirrors. Its walls and domed ceiling are covered in mosaics and mirrored surfaces, creating an illusion of infinitely expanding space. This hall is conceived as a reflection of collective memory and the multidimensionality of human experience. Here, modern art converges with ancient archetypes, creating an atmosphere in which time seems to cease to exist. Other halls within the complex hold no less profound symbolic significance. In the Hall of the Earth, motifs of nature, primordial elements, and the eternal cycles of life dominate, while the Hall of Water astonishes with its fluid forms, soft lines, and cool tones. Each hall employs color, light, and unique acoustics to induce a specific state of perception in the visitor. Thus, the Temple of Humankind functions not merely as an architectural object, but as a sophisticated tool for psychological influence. The stone vaults and domes amplify sound, creating a resonance effect that, according to the creator's intent, can harmonize a person's inner state. The symbolism of Damanhur is eclectic and universal. Elements from Egyptian, Celtic, Indian, and many other traditions intertwine here. The creators did not aim to copy a specific culture, but sought to create a unified symbolic language comprehensible to all. The geometry of the halls plays an important role. Many corridors and chambers are oriented according to the cardinal directions and the Earth's energetic lines. The social aspect of its construction is also unique. The temple was built collectively by the entire community. It is a rare example of people in the modern era voluntarily dedicating decades to arduous subterranean labor to realize a shared spiritual vision.
For a long time, the existence of the temple complex remained a secret from Italian authorities. Only at the end of the 20th century, when the scale of the work could no longer be concealed, was the complex discovered by the Carabinieri. Initially, the project was considered an illegal self-built structure, and the temple faced the threat of demolition. However, its artistic value and incredible scale provoked such a public outcry that the Italian government recognized it as a unique cultural asset and the eighth wonder of the world. Today, Damanhur is open to the world, confirming that the human drive to create sacred spaces within the earth is alive even in our time, transforming stone into a frozen symphony of faith.
Beneath the ancient Inca capital of Cuzco lies one of the most enigmatic subterranean complexes in South America. A network of tunnels, passages, and hidden chambers, collectively known as the Chincanas, has stirred the imagination of explorers for centuries. In the Inca worldview, Cuzco was the navel of the world, and its surface layout strictly corresponded to the celestial order. However, beneath the surface existed another hidden level. These tunnels were perceived not merely as engineering works, but as an integral part of the sacred geography, linking key temples, palaces, and fortresses into a single, invisible network. The first accounts of these passages were left by Spanish conquistadors. In their chronicles, they mentioned mysterious labyrinths leading deep beneath the temples, but admitted they rarely dared to venture far due to superstitious fear and the danger of getting lost. The most famous tunnels are believed to connect the sacred Temple of the Sun, Coricancha, with the formidable fortress of Sacsayhuaman. This route is considered a strategic masterpiece. It allowed priests and rulers to move unnoticed between the city's religious center and military stronghold. Even today, the exact extent and complete map of this system remain a great secret, hidden beneath centuries-old stones. The functions of the Chincanas extended far beyond mere logistics. In Inca culture, the underworld, Uku Pacha, was the place where life originated and the dwelling of ancestral spirits. The tunnels beneath Cusco served as symbolic pathways between worlds. The system beneath Sacsayhuaman is not called the labyrinth for nothing. Its winding passages and dead ends were designed to disorient any uninitiated person. Legends exist that initiation rites were conducted here, where a person, passing through the darkness and fear of the underground, was meant to emerge into the light, renewed. For the Incas, movement downward was not a fall, but a return to the source of power of Mother Earth. Legends of the Chincanas are inextricably linked to tales of the incalculable treasures of the Incas, said to have been hidden in their depths during the Spanish conquest. Stories tell of entire halls filled with golden statues and ritual objects, which priests managed to conceal in the labyrinth's secret chambers. The Spaniards' fear of these underground passages was so great that they later ordered most entrances to be sealed shut to prevent guerrilla sorties by the indigenous population. This transformed the tunnels into veritable time capsules. Today, modern archaeologists use ground-penetrating radar to locate voids beneath the foundations of Cusco, but the city zealously guards its secrets, preventing the large-scale excavation of its ancient layers. The engineering prowess of the Incas manifested underground just as brilliantly as in their high-altitude cities. Despite the absence of steel tools, they achieved perfectly smooth walls even in confined spaces with minimal lighting. A crucial element of the Chincanas was ventilation. Thanks to hidden shafts, the air in the tunnels remained breathable even at great depths. Furthermore, many passages were connected to underground water sources. For the Incas, water was a sacred substance of life, and its presence in the ritual tunnels emphasized their connection to the forces of nature, transforming each passage into an act of spiritual communion with the planet. The world's subterranean complexes, from Derinkuyu to the tunnels of Cusco, reveal a hidden facet of human history. These are places where fear of the external world intertwined with unshakable faith and the triumph of engineering. The cities, temples, and labyrinths carved into the earth's depths remind us that the true foundations of civilizations are often concealed far beneath the surface. They are silent witnesses to our ability to adapt to any conditions and to seek light even in absolute darkness. Human history is not confined to what we see beneath the sun. Its roots delve deep into the stone, continuing to guard its greatest secrets in the profound silence of the underworld.